Hey everybody, so this is going to be a pretty lengthy video. I do apologize, but so be it. It's all about MLA. You can refer to this video when you are taking your quiz, so I suggest you bookmark it, save it, do whatever you have to do. You have a quiz this Friday on the Friday the 23rd. It's going to open at midnight and close at midnight, so you have 24 hours to complete your quiz. Okay. This is mostly just to make sure that you understand the basics of MLA. And if you understand that you're writing in Times New Roman, 12-point font, double spaced with a header and a heading, then you're basically golden. So with that said, I'm going to share a few documents with you. Okay, the first one I'm going to share is the MLA document bootcamp. Okay, so it's provided in your email and it's linked in our announcements on your announcement page on Canvas. Okay, so this is essentially what I base the quiz off of. So make sure that you have this document as well, whether you have to print it out or do whatever. I'm going to do my best to go through this fairly quickly yet slowly so that I'm not rushing through it at the same time. Okay, so the first two things are summarizing and paraphrasing. Now, they're very similar. Okay, so it's okay if we confuse these things. It happens. I want you to think about going to the movies. If you go to the movies and I ask you, how was the movie? What was it about? You're going to tell me all of the key points of that movie. That is providing a summary. Okay, or if I ask you what an entire book is about, you're going to give me a summary on that particular book, that particular movie, whatever the case may be. Paraphrasing, however, is only about one line. So if you have a line of text, you are going to change that line of text into your own words. Okay, so both paraphrasing and summarizing are in your own words, not the author's, not verbatim. Okay, but paraphrasing is that you're just taking a line or two and making them your own words. Summarizing is when you take the entire thing and put it into your own words, okay? So that is just something to be aware of, okay? We're going to move on to quoting, okay? So the first thing, the biggest thing, quotation marks are of the utmost importance. You need quotation marks. Otherwise, you are plagiarizing, okay? We are quoting when we are taking someone's exact words. Okay, so we are taking them verbatim off of the website, the page, whatever. If you are transcribing, so if you have a book and you are copying it over, you're typing it over, make sure that you do it correctly, no typos, exactly how they do it. Okay, so make sure that you have those quotation marks. Make sure that they're at the beginning of the quote, at the end of the quote, after the period. Very important. Okay, the next thing, inline citations. So, few different things that you're going to see in my examples that I provided for you. So inline citations are literally what they mean. They are in line with the text. They are not after in your works cited page. They are right there with it. Okay, so when you quote something, you have to cite it. You have to provide where you got that information. So what this means is when you quote, paraphrase, or summarize, it doesn't matter which one you're doing. If you are getting information that not everybody else knows, okay, you have to cite that. So my first example comes from biography.com. She spent this time composing nearly 1,100 poems. You'll notice that I have my opening quotation marks before the word she, my closing ones after the word poems, and then my parentheses, my parenthetical citation, biography, and the period is at the end of that closing parentheses. That is where your period belongs when you have an inline citation after the closing parentheses. This is very important. This is a question on your quiz. Okay. Now, that was a website with no author. Okay. So you'll notice that there was no name there. It's just the name of the site. Okay. The next one, however, gives a author's last name and a page number. So this most likely came from a journal article or potentially a book. Okay, so it's last name and page number. There's no commas, there's no P, there's no PG, there's no page, there's no PP, whatever other abbreviations for page you can think of. Okay, do not put them in there. right? The next one, according to McNaughton, that's where I'm at. You will see that I put the author's last name in line, okay? Very much in the words of the text. So now, because I did that, I don't have to put her in the parentheses. I just have to put the page number if a page number exists. Okay, if it doesn't, then obviously you're just going to omit it. Okay, let's see. So you have two different types of citations. Essentially, you have your inline parenthetical citations, and then you have your works cited page. Okay, so whatever I put in those parentheses has to match up to what is on my works cited page. If not, it's going to raise a little tiny red flag to me that maybe something's going on and I should look it up. Okay, next thing, general hints. So as I've said with every single paper you've done, 12-point font, Times New Roman, double spaced. Bang, bang, boom. Okay, that is probably the most quintessential thing you need to know about MLA. So next thing, you're going to cite every quotation, borrowed words, paraphrases, borrowed ideas, except for common general knowledge. Okay, so if you are writing that the sky is blue, you do not need to cite that. If you're writing that the sky is blue because it reflects off of the ocean, you don't need to cite that. That is essentially considered common knowledge. Okay, but if you want to say that, I don't know, the ocean is salty because sharks are crying or something, that's not always common knowledge. You'll have to cite that. Okay, the next thing, you have to use signal phrases. You cannot just throw a quote in to stand on its own as its own sentence. Okay, I'll say that again. A quote cannot stand by itself as its own sentence. You have to introduce it. And we're going to get to that when we do our PowerPoint. Okay. You have to introduce your quote by saying that, you know, the author writes, or in this article, or for example, and then your quote. Okay. So I give you two examples. One is incorrect and one is correct. So you'll see Evan Smith disagrees, period. Then the start of the quote. Okay. That is considered a floating quote because it does not have an introduction. Okay, so now when we correct it, it says Evan Smith maintains that new teachers are burning out faster. So the introduction or the signal phrase is Evan Smith maintains that. And then we have our quote. Okay, use a colon or a comma to help with your signal phrases. Okay, this is a lot, you know, he said this, she said that. All right, so that's your example. Okay, next bullet point here, we're right here. Okay, please use only the parts of the quotation that are useful and necessary. I know, I 100% get it. We want to take up space in our paper. We want to get to that page requirement. Okay, use only the parts of the quote that are necessary. I do read through these papers with a fine-tooth comb. I will cross them out. If you are not explaining them, if you do not relate the entire quote back to what you're trying to prove, then unfortunately, I'm going to tell you to get rid of it. Okay, use only what is needed. Okay, so with that said, if there is a part of the quote that needs to be omitted, you will put the 3 dots, those 3 annoying dots when somebody is texting us on our phones. Okay, the ellipses as a placeholder for those omitted words. It shows that you took out or removed words from the author's original context. Okay. But it has to, when you omit words, you have to still stay true to its original meaning. Okay, so if you look at my example here, the original quote is, "This play was, I have to confess, the greatest waste of time and money I have ever encountered." And this is from a review of a play. Okay, so the correct way to do it would be, according to Joe Schmo, this play was the greatest waste of time and money, because that's essentially what he's saying. We don't need the part, "I have to confess," or "I have ever encountered." They're unnecessary. Okay, but when we omit them, it still stays true to what he's saying. So incorrect would be him saying this play was the greatest, because that's not at all what he's saying. You completely changed the context of it, and so it is no longer correct. Okay. When you do this, you have to remember to be grammatically correct. Okay, right here. So we're going to use the same quote. Joe Schmo describes the play as the greatest waste of time and money. Okay, now it's the word describes because it's active, because the play is still going on at this point. So incorrect would be Joe Schmo about the play, because that makes no sense. Okay, that makes literally no sense. So here we are. Next bullet point says, to maintain grammatical correctness, you are actually allowed to alter the quotation, however, in a limited way. Okay, so sometimes authors write in past tense, but because we write in present tense, okay, we have to alter things to fit that way. Okay, so the original quote I provide for you guys is, every night I creep down the stairs past my parents' bedroom and sneak out the window. Okay, so we're going to use brackets to change the tense usage so that it remains the same with how we're writing our paper. Okay, so correct way is, Jane Brain described, past tense, how she creeps down the stairs each night and sneaks out the window. Okay, so it's still active, just like she had in her original quote. Okay, so you have to remember that these things have to maintain subject and verb agreement along with, just grammatical correctness. Okay, so areas of this sometimes takes time. This is what I'm here for. I can help you with this. I will show you where it needs to be. So don't freak out about it too much. It's not very difficult once you start doing it. Okay. So this block quoting. Block quoting is going to be the biggest struggle of everybody's life. I say that because I already know how this works. So when you copy and paste a quote from a website or whatever onto your Word document, if when it is typed onto your document, it takes up more than 4 typed lines, it becomes a block quote. Okay. If you are transcribing something, which means that you can't copy and paste it, okay, then, and that quote is more than 4 typed lines, 4 full typed lines from the left margin to the right margin, then it is a block quote. Anything less than that is not. Okay. So what you do is you go to the beginning of that quote and you hit enter. The quote is now going to start on a new line. And you're going to hit the tab or indent button 2 times. Okay, because if you just did it the first time, it would show that you're starting a new paragraph. You don't want that. You want to show that this is a block quote. So you are hitting that tab button 2 times. Okay, so here is the start of a new paragraph. Here is the start of a quotation. Okay, so the entire left-hand side of the quotation is indented these 2 times. Okay, it is all lined up. The right side is just as it is. Okay, you omit the quotation marks for a block quote, only for a block quote, but you still throw in your citation at the end. Okay, and then when your quotation is done, you'll hit enter, you'll backspace all the way over to the left margin and continue with your paragraph. Okay, because after you quote, you have to explain it. You have to tell me how it's relevant, why it's relevant, how does it relate, why does it relate. You have to explain your quote. You cannot just throw it in there and hope for the best. Okay, you need to assume that your reader, your audience, is kind of dumb, and you need to just put it out there for them. Like, this is why, this quote is here. Okay, things like that. Let me make sure I just went over all that. Please attempt to use these sparingly. People love block quotes once they figure them out because they take up a lot of space on your paper. Try not to go block quote happy. Okay, I know it can be hard. The next thing, this is also going to be on your quiz. That question, block quotes, is going to be on your quiz as well. So this next one, introduce the author. Okay, the very first time you introduce an author, you have to give their full name. Okay, so I think my example is Ruth Flanders McNaughton. Okay, so the very first time I'm going to full name her. Every time after that moment, she is just going to be considered McNaughton. Okay, we don't call her Ruth. We're not besties. We don't call her Flanders because that's weird. McNaughton is her name after the very first time. Okay, so the first time you introduce an author, full name. Every time after that, last name only. Okay, again, we talk about using signal phrases. Okay, they're very important. Let's see what else. If an author is unknown, so if there is no author to a text, this can happen a lot on websites. Then you will abbreviate the title in your parenthetical citation of the article, not the website. Please do not put the website in your citations. That is incorrect. Okay, so what you're going to do, my example is according to the Old Book of Hogwash, so that is our text, Old Book of Hogwash, the world was due to end April 15th, 1999, okay? But now I want to put it in a parenthetical. I'm not going to put the entire Old Book of Hogwash because it's unnecessary. I'm just going to put Old Book. Okay, so that's all you're doing. If there is no author, you are abbreviating the title in that parenthetical citation. This is also a question on your quiz. If there are no page numbers, then don't worry about it. Websites do not have page numbers. Do not try to make one up. Okay, it is not necessary. I will know that it was a website. Okay, citations and plagiarism. Obviously, please don't plagiarize. I will catch you. I will know. Many schools have an expulsion policy on plagiarism, so just don't do it. The union doesn't. However, it does give me grounds to fail you for the course. Please don't do it. I don't want to fail you over something so silly, okay? Please just don't. All right, I'm gonna let you guys read all that on your own. Thesis statements. There is a question on your quiz about thesis statements, and it is, where do they go? And I'm gonna tell you right now. They go at the last sentence of the first paragraph and typically the first sentence of the last paragraph. So you are stating it in your introduction and in your conclusion, okay? Easy peasy. Why? Because in the beginning, you have to tell your reader exactly what you're going to be proving throughout your paper. And at the conclusion, you have to wrap it up. You have to show that you proved your point, okay? So your first page, you do not have a cover page. MLA does not have cover pages. So your first page should look like this. You should have a 4-line heading, your name, professor's name, class and assignment, and the date. You also need a header, which is your last name and a page number. If you're using Microsoft Word, you're going to click insert, you're going to find page number, you're going to find top of page. Then you're going to look for the one that has the page number in the right-hand corner, upper right-hand corner. Google Docs works very similarly. I think just that last step is worded differently on Google Docs. I'm not sure about any other type of software program because I'm just too dumb for that. Okay, and then here's an example of your works cited page. You'll also notice, I'm sorry, I'm going to go back to this first page real fast. Title, you'll see that it's one space, okay? So after they put the date in, they hit enter one time, they center it, they put the title, then they hit enter again and they put it back to the left-hand margin and they start typing. There are no extra spaces. There is no need for extra spaces. Again, I know you're trying to take up space on the page number. Or on the pages. There's no need. Please don't do it. I'll tell you to stop it. Okay, now works cited page. It is put in alphabetical order by the last name of the author. Okay, so you'll put works cited, those two words, in the center, the top center of the page. Your works cited also starts on its own page. Okay, so if you ended a paper 3 lines on page 7, you are going to enter all the way till you get to page 8, and that is where your works cited page will start. Okay. So, and again, it's going to be listed in alphabetical order by the author's last name. Right? I think, a few things that you should just know. So I just said the first one. If you have 2 works by the same author, then they go in order by use. So which one do you use first in your paper? And then, let's see, on that works cited page, you'll also notice, I'm going to scroll back up real fast. That first line with the author's last name is flush against that left margin, and everything else is indented one time. Okay, this is called a hanging indent. All right, and I think that's typically it. The last thing that you're going to want to kind of do is, I suggest, you guys can do what you want, but I suggest citing and doing your works cited page as you are working on it. It is easier than going back and trying to figure out where your quotations are to put the proper citation in and then putting your works cited page together. It's just easier. I don't know. Maybe that's just because I've had to do it so much. But remember, you're also only citing the sources that you use in your paper, not all of the ones you've read. You might have read 10 and only end up using 5 of them. Okay, so now with that said, we're going to move on to the PowerPoint. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Baby is kicking my butt. Okay, so this we can kind of go through this a little faster. So quoting, here is how to embed quotes. Okay, so we're going to remember the ICE method when it comes to this. You guys know what a quote is. And because I attached this, you guys can read most of this on your own. Okay, so when you include quotations, You are showing that you are gaining credibility and reliability as a trusted source. You provide evidence. This is a huge thing. You have to give me evidence. So you are quoting things not only from your outside sources, but from your primary source. And in this case, it's going to be the hate you give is your primary source. Okay. So you have to have quotes from the text to prove what you are saying. Otherwise, it's all just a lot of blah, blah, blah. Okay. You are protecting yourself against plagiarism by citing, and you demonstrate your ability to include other sources. Okay. Do not include a quote in your thesis statement or in a topic sentence. You are only doing it to provide examples and evidence. Okay. Should never stand alone. Don't begin a sentence with a quote. And you always need to explain it afterwards. Dun, dun, dun. I want you to think about a quote as somebody you're bringing to a party. Okay. So you're bringing a friend to a party. They don't know anybody. When you get to the door, you're going to introduce them to people so that they can go off and eventually talk to people on their own. But if you don't introduce them, then they're just going to stand there by themselves and float. Okay. So you have to introduce your friend to the party. You have to introduce your quote. Okay. Next. So ICE, introduce, cite, explain. Yay. Introducing it. You can do it 4 ways: complete sentence, explanatory phrase, short quotes, or with part of the quote as a paraphrase. Okay. So we're going to use Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech. Here's what we're going to use. I have a dream that my 4 little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Okay, next. So, complete sentence. You're going to punctuate with a colon because it can stand on its own. Okay, so here is my example. Here is the complete sentence. In his I Have a Dream speech, Dr. King Jr. had a dream. So that is a complete sentence on its own. It could be by itself. But again, because we're not leaving our friend by themselves at the party, we are putting a colon in. So there it is. There's your colon, and there's your quote. Okay. Explanatory phrase. You're introducing it. You're punctuating with a comma. So this person said, that person said, this author stated. That is where we see this the most often. Okay. In his famous speech, Dr. King Jr. said, comma. Okay. There's your explanatory phrase. There's your comma and your quote. Okay. Short quotes. This is different from a paraphrase, yet it's incredibly similar. So when you include it, just stick to a few short words, few short terms for the quote. You're going to place those quotation marks, obviously, around the author's original words. Okay. Dr. King dreamed of a day when his children would only be judged by the content of their character as the quoted material. Okay. This does get a little funky, though, because you can't really paraphrase what he said. Okay. So here's how to paraphrase it. Dr. King Jr. dreamed of a day when his 4 children would not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Okay, so that is the paraphrased portion of it. But you still cited it because you put Dr. King. Okay, there's quotation marks. And here's some more examples. According to, for example, for instance. You're going to cite it. We're doing MLA because APA is stupid. Sorry. In-text citations and your works cited page are your 2 different kinds of citations that I will find in your paper. Okay, in text is that quick reference to who it is, who said it originally. Works cited is the full citation entry. Okay, introduce your quote, citation. You'll notice the period goes after the citation, after the closing parentheses. This is very important. Many people have messed this up. Okay, just going to fly through these because you don't need them. Okay, in text citation, you are letting your readers know immediately that you did not come up with this from nowhere. You got it from somewhere and who it came from. Okay, your citation that are in your parentheses is what I'm going to look for first on your works cited page. Okay, so here's an example. Okay, here's another example. And then you explain it. You have to provide an analysis that connects the quote to what you're talking about. You have to explain why it is important, why it's relevant. And you need to make sure that your quote supports your topic, your thesis, your main idea. Also, you can throw in a counter argument and have quotes that show the counter argument to help strengthen your paper. A good paper will have both sides. Okay, this proves, this illustrates, this shows, this highlights. Those are some examples. And then embedding it. Okay, your introduction and the quote must be grammatically consistent. In his speech, he said, it would be fatal for the nation to overlook the urgency of this moment. Okay, they are grammatically consistent. You can change a word by using the ellipses and you can change a word by using brackets. Okay, look at that. Here's an example. Wonderful stuff. I'll let you guys read that on your own. Okay, and then the last document that I just want to go over really fast. Can I get it up? Hold on. Share. Here it is. I gave you guys this template. You do not need it. You can use easybib.com. I haven't updated it since we switched over to MLA 8. When I wrote this template, I believe it was MLA 7. So just be aware of that. If you go to easybib.com, I'm going to do that with you guys right now. Just bear with me. We've got to find my stupid screen. Okay. Oh. EasyBib, you're going to need this. Okay. easybib.com. So when you get here, if you're using a website as a source, okay, shoot. If you're using a website as a source, sorry, then you can go here, you'll hit create citations, you'll copy that URL link. Okay, so let's just say it was, you know, my YouTube channel. Okay, you'll copy the link, copy. Okay, oh shoot, what did I do? I definitely hit the wrong button. Create citations. There we go. Website. Okay, you'll click website for a website book. This is pretty self-explanatory, I would like to say. Okay, we'll try this. I don't know if it's going to work. There it is. Cite. Okay, here we go. Here we go. Continue. Okay, and it gives you a few things. You'll hit complete citation. You'll have to fill out whatever is there. Oh, can I get off of this? Okay, so you're going to need EasyBib to do that MLA packet. Okay, shit. EasyBib. There it is. Okay, so we're going to look at this tab. Your MLA practice worksheet, or MLA work packet, as I have so dubbed it. The first section, you're going to create these citations. So it tells you the medium. Okay, so this is a book. Here's an internet article. Here's an article or chapter, meaning it's an anthology. Internet article. Okay, so it gives you all the information. You'll go over to EasyBib. You'll hit create citation. Okay, so this first one is a book. So we'll hit book. Okay, and we're going to hit, what is it? Ancient civilizations. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to hit create manual citation because we don't have an ISBN number. Okay, so we're going to go here. It already knows what I'm going to fill in because I've done this so much. Okay, Goldhouse, 1989. Okay, you'll hit complete citation. It'll ask you to watch a stupid video. Block. Okay. Sorry, guys. Super fun. Come on, computer. Go away. 7 more seconds. Oh my gosh. 3, 2, 1. Yay! And we're done. Okay. So it's completing the citation. And then right here, there it is. Okay, so that's what you're going to transcribe onto this one. Okay, you're going to do the same for the next few. Then you can answer the questions in section 2, section 3, so on and so forth. Okay, please note for section 4, you're going to strictly use the MLA bootcamp document. I did not give a paper. There is no sample paper for this. Okay, you are just going to use the MLA document or bootcamp document that I gave you to answer these questions. Okay, now, if you do this and you complete it, whether it is correct or not, you're going to send it to me completed, and I will give you extra credit on your quiz. Okay, so how can we do that? Well, you can download this and attempt to type right on it. You can do the old-fashioned way and print it out and write your answers in. And then if you're so lucky to have a scanner, you can scan it back and email it to me, or you can take screenshots of it and send it as one email. Please do not send me 15 emails. Okay. So again, if you complete this packet, you will get extra credit on your quiz. Oops, what am I doing? I believe that's everything. There is another PowerPoint in your email and in the announcements. I'm not going over it because we don't need to go over it just yet. We'll go over it when you are choosing your sources for your paper. So I think that's everything on MLA. And let's just stop share. I believe I went over that. I went over this. Sorry, guys. I like to make sure that I went over all of my stuff that I needed to tell you about. Okay, cool. All right, that's about it. So that is my spiel on MLA. Remember, you can use this video and all of the documents for your quiz that is on Friday, the 23rd. Opens at midnight and closes at midnight. So you have 24 hours to do it. Okay, have a good rest of your day and your week, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye, guys.